Welcome to the Million Dollar Agent Blueprint podcast, where today we're going to dive deep into strategies, stories, and successes behind today's best real estate minds. So I'm your host, Kim Barber. I appreciate you coming today. And today we're honored to welcome a true titan in the industry. So Michael Hellickson, he is here. So Michael isn't just like a highly successful real estate agent. He's a powerhouse coach. He's a mentor. He's the founder of Club Wealth, and he's one of the industry's leading, coaching organizations. So if you haven't heard from him or heard about him, definitely stay here to learn a ton. With over 25 years in the business, he has a track record of building, one of the top producing teams like in the country. And he really brings unmatched experience and insights to the table. So whether you're looking to scale, as an individual or as your brokerage, he's really somebody that you can get leadership from, somebody that is inspired by excellence, and you're going to get massive value from today's conversation. So grab your notebook, get ready, and this is definitely an episode you won't want to miss. So Michael, do you want to introduce a little bit more about yourself and share with our audience?
Well, first of all, what a great introduction. I appreciate that. It's very nice of you. I'm always a believer there should be credibility behind the message. So just from a production standpoint, we at one point in time we were the number one team in the country for about 5 years. We were closing 120 to 180 transactions a year, or sorry, a month. Sorry, 120
That's
to 180
insane.
transactions a month at a time when number two and number three combined were doing about half that. I was carrying about 750 listings in active and pending status in a given time, and all that with just 16 agents on the team. And
Really?
so our average was just over 100 transactions per year per agent. And so I share that not to brag, but just so that people know, because there's so many people, and Kim, you know this, you've been around, you've done well, but there's so many people in this business that want to give advice that have not done anything, and that,
Right.
they think they've got all the answers and they want to share those answers with you, but they themselves have never done anything. And I've just been a believer that, if you want to climb to the top of Mount Everest, you need a guide who's been to the top of Mount Everest before. So by the way of advice, I would say my first piece of advice is stop listening to people who have done nothing.
Yeah,
Uh,
100%.
and yeah, and only listen to people who have done what you want to do in a way that you're comfortable doing it. That you're morally and ethically comfortable doing it. It might be work, it might be out of your comfort zone from a work standpoint, but hey, that's the price of success, right?
That's right.
But anyway, that being said, you were talking about, the blueprint to millions, and what is it that it takes? I know you just prior to starting, you'd asked me, what does it really take to succeed selling real estate?
That's right. Yeah, I mean, a lot of, and I just to, come back to that, I definitely hear you, even when it comes to buying a house, we know as agents, they're like, stop listening to the uncle. You've maybe seen this meme, like stop out listening to the uncle that sold a house once and start listening to somebody who's done, hundreds of sales, thousands of sales. And for you to even say like, I have 100 agents per year, and selling that kind of volume with limited, also, watching your profits, this and that. So when it comes to millions, and we'll talk about that, there's, like you said, like how do you run a team at this capacity where there's efficient, there's leverage, there's scale, there's experience, that just doesn't happen overnight. And for somebody, it's like,
Right.
oh, I want to learn this, to come to somebody like yourself. And I'm like, I've carried 85 properties in my inventory, but never did that compound into what you're talking about. So I'm excited to be here. And so just like before we were on here, we were like, $1 million. Like, I'm like, what's the $1 million agent blueprint for you? Like, what's the blueprint to millions? And there's so many ways that you can do that. So like, what does that mean to you? So somebody's listening and being like, well, that's not me, or that is me. Like, what do you coach people? Like, here's the ways you can earn, or the opportunity, right? This is no disclosure that you are going to make it, because you have to do the work.
Well, and you're right. I mean, there's no shortcuts here. Well, and I should say that. Let me rephrase. There's no easy way to do this. It's work. It's all work. That's simple, right? The solutions can be very simple, but they take work. They take discipline. They take effort. And you talk about, well, not everybody's going to want to do billions. Not everybody's going to want to do, 700 transactions, carry 750 listings at any given time. So what you got to look at is, all right, where is somebody today, right? So there's seven tiers in real estate, if you will, right? Tier one is 0 to 25 closings per year. Tier two is 25 to 75. And tier three would be 75 to 150. Tier four is 150 to 250. Tier five is 250 to 500. Tier six is 500 to 1,000. And tier seven is 1,000 units per year and more. And as you look at the tiers, everything that needs to be done to get from one tier to the next is different in each tier, right?
Okay. Yep.
Tier one, for example, I'm doing 0 to 25 transactions a year. Man, let me tell you, that sucks. And I don't mean your production sucks. I mean, that's a hard deal. That is
Yeah.
hard to do. It is much harder to be in tier one than it is to be in tier five. Much harder. But because it's the grind, right? In tier one,
That's
you're
right.
just trying to learn, well, how do I get leads? And then how do I get those people to actually, want to buy a house from me or sell a house with me? And then how do I actually do that? And it's just this big learning curve. And all the while, you're struggling financially. You're trying to figure out, well,
Right. That's
you know,
right.
I thought I was going to be $1 million earner, right? Because all these people are $1 million producers. But you find out that all that really means is that they sold $1 million in real estate, which is like
Yeah.
nothing.
Nothing.
It's like,
Yeah. That's right. Especially depending on your market, that could be like one transaction.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so you gotta approach this from a standpoint of, okay, if I'm in tier one or even tier two for that matter, I've probably got
Up to 75. So tier one, 0
yep,
to 25. Tier two, which is pretty big jump, 25 to 75. You're starting
yep.
to expand your business, like
Yeah,
adding
but
more people, adding some help
very frequently, yes.
frequently.
But generally speaking, even in tier two, I've got more, that agent's going to have more time than money, right? So a tier one agent certainly is not going to go out and buy Zillow leads and Realtor.com leads and all this kind of stuff, right? They don't have the capital for it. They're also not going to buy the higher end technology systems and the AI systems that, when you get into tiers three and higher, that you're going to want to partake in. And so you've got to look at different strategies. So, what are the things? And I would venture to guess that the vast majority of people watching this are probably in tier one or tier two.
Mhm.
And don't get me wrong, like my average client right now does just over 200 transactions a year, which is, that's a very different ballgame. And they get very different advice from us than someone who's in tier one and tier two because
Mhm.
they have more money to spend. So I can say to a tier four, I can say, hey, I've got this lead source over here. It's going to be $20,000 a month. And I need you to, get a check out today to these guys or get your credit card over to them today. And we're going to start you tomorrow. And here's what your ROI is going to be. And they're like, great, I'm on board.
Right.
You say
Yep.
that to a tier one, they're like, 20 what? Are
Yeah.
you out of your
Right.
mind? Like,
No. Yeah. They
right.
don't have,
Like,
they would not have the income, at all. Well, they wouldn't be able
correct.
to have, oh, multiply that times 12. And it's a huge, it's,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
it's a
And so
nugget.
you think about the tier ones and tier twos out there. Let's talk to those guys for a second. So for those of you that are doing 0 to 75 transactions a year, there's 5 things that I would recommend that you do. But first of all, you got to understand what are the 3 things that are going to move the needle in the business, and this is across all tiers. Okay,
Yeah.
so and I'm just gonna, can you
I
guys see
love
my?
that you got the easel. Like one time while you're writing that up, like I was doing something with Russell Brunson, of course you know him from ClickFunnels. And I was like at, the hot seat. And so he's looking at my stuff and I'm like, okay. And then they started calling me the easel lady. Like, not that I'm calling you the easel man, but I'm like, no, I want to write this out. I need people to see this.
I agree. These are it. Those are the 3 things that are going to move the needle in this business: lead generation, lead follow-up, and lead conversion.
That's right.
Nothing else is going to move the needle for you.
That's
Period.
right.
It's just not. All the other stuff is noise. All the other stuff can be hired out for 20 bucks an hour or less, or you can hire a VA overseas to do it for 4 or 5 bucks an hour. These are the 3 things that get paid the big money. Here's the problem. If I'm in tier one or tier two, I don't have a lot of money for lead generation. So what are the 5 things I can do to get leads coming in right now? Let me give them to you. It's FSBOs, expireds, cold calls, open houses, sphere of influence.
Yep.
I'll give it to you again. FSBOs, expireds, cold calls, open houses, sphere of influence. And those 5 things, all of them are very easy to do. None of them cost a lot of money. You don't need any special equipment for the most part. You don't need any, you don't need to buy lead sources and all that. And every single one of those things, whatever your average sales price in your market is, if you did any one of those things for 20 hours a week, just part-time, 20 hours a week,
Yeah. two
any
hours a
one of those
day,
things, what's that?
something like couple hours a day, more hours a day, 4 hours a day,
If you did four
prospect.
hours a day, 5 days a week on any one of those 5, you're going to make in commission income at least whatever your average sales price is. And so if my average sales price is $500,000 and I want to make $500,000 a year, all I got to do is one of those five things, 20 hours a week.
Yeah.
And now imagine what happens when you start layering multiple of those things on top of each other. And what about when you do it for more than 20 hours a week? I mean, you can really make a lot of money in this business, but you have to be willing to put the work in. The fact of the matter is, most people won't pick up the phone at all, let alone do it for 4 hours a day.
Yeah, they're afraid.
Right?
You know, when I first started, I love that you said for sale by owner ex-biz in 2004, when
Yeah.
everything was flying off the shelf. I'm like, sphere of influence. And I'm like, who wants to sell now? Expires and for sale by owners. And there was actually expires then, and 4 years. I did every day prospecting, role playing with people for 30 minutes, no matter how good I thought I was. And I built a great career, so if you're listening, like this is real, even if you think that, oh, it's a hot market, like people will have expirations, and made a couple hundred, 275 my first year. So if
Oh,
you're,
yeah.
it's real, right? It's
And those people have to sell. And here's the thing, of those five, the number one thing right now, like if you want to make money today, you
today.
need a check in 90 days or you're going to be out of this business. You know what you do? Open houses.
Yeah, open houses.
Open houses right now are on fire. We're seeing people get on average from 25 to 150 people out to every open house
It's
when they're
insane.
done right. Isn't that great? I mean, but you
Yeah,
think about this, you get 25, even just 50 people. Let's say you just got 50 people out to an open house. You're going to sell a couple of houses out of that,
you
right? I
should.
mean,
Yeah.
we don't care about the house we're holding open. It's not about selling that house. It's about getting business coming through the door that we can go sell a house, right? Whether it's that one or a different one. And at the end of the day, if you want to make your average sales price and commission income in your market today, all you got to do is 8 open houses a month. And if you'll do those open houses right, and really drive traffic to them, game over. I mean, that is really, really an easy way to make. Let's say your average sales price is $500,000 a year. There's $500,000 a year right there with just 8 open houses a month. The problem is people are doing their open houses wrong, and that's why they're only getting two or three people out to an open house. And so,
The mega
can
open house,
100%. And
right?
we've got a system for massive open houses. I can even. Do you want me to just give it to you real quick? You want me to tell you?
I
What-
mean, I would love to. I also want to make sure you touch on, you do the open house, and number two on your
Oh, the lead follow up.
right.
Oh, you'll love the lead follow
I'm
up.
all about the lead follow up, which leads to conversion. Then you get the leads in, and you're generating leads. It's like it becomes intertwined. But yeah, like I think a lot of people uh, do not master the open houses, and then the challenge is the old school way was they fill out a piece of paper, then you can't read their handwriting. So getting them into being able, like, oh, is this a real person? So yeah, please share. What's the magic sauce?
Well, so the secret sauce for getting people to that open house is number one, you got to pick the right house. And it does not need to be your listing. It could be somebody else's listing as long as you've got permission to do the open house there. And what you want to do is pick a move up house. Don't pick entry level because entry level houses, you're going to get entry level buyers, right? So pick a move up house. And make sure that that house is within. And by the way, what's nice about that is they also oftentimes have a house to sell. So you're getting a higher price point. They obviously will likely have a house to sell. Now you get two transactions with one couple that comes through.
My favorite.
And then let's take it a step further. If you're within a half mile to a mile of a major shopping area, you're going to get good traffic. Then if you're no more than two turns off the main road, that will really help to drive traffic. Then there's four kind of key things that you do, and there's more, but the four big ones that you can do to get more traffic to your open house. Number four, and the least effective, but it's still effective, is the social media and the online marketing, right? So we got to do that, right? That's getting it in the portals, the Zillow, Realtor.com, getting it on social media, all that kind of stuff. So that's great. But the
Must.
three big ones that have the biggest impact, number two and number three are really closely tied, and that's door knock and cold call through the whole neighborhood
Okay.
and invite the neighbors to the open house.
Right, like the
And I
50 around, or as many as you can get,
I would do 200.
okay.
I would hit the 200 closest houses to that one. And I'll tell you, I love nosy neighbors because guess what they are? They just don't realize it. They're sellers that don't realize they're sellers yet.
Yeah.
And I just love it. And so that said, I like to call and knock the whole neighborhood. And then number one is signs. it's put up more signs. And you know, most people, most agents, they'll spend 5, 10 minutes putting up a, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5 signs at most for an open house, and then they'll go sit in that house for 3 hours and hope somebody shows up. Man, you're crazy. What you should do is you should spend an hour, hour and a half putting up signs, and then go spend 2 hours in the house, and all of a sudden you're going to get way more people and actually make some money.
More efficient.
And people ask me, well, Michael, how many signs do I got to put up? I'll tell you what, Kim, if it's me,
Many as you can.
I'm putting up 50 signs minimum
Oh,
for
wow.
every open house. And I'll tell you, people give me a hard time about this. Like, oh, but Michael, you know, in my city, they'll take my signs. So what? So you
Right.
spend $5 a sign and you put a bunch of signs up. You put 50 signs up. That's $250 worth of signs. And let's say the city came by and took every one of your signs. But in the meantime, you got 45,
Yeah.
50 people out to that open house. You just sold 2 houses and it cost you $250 in marketing. All you got to really ask yourself now is the juice worth the squeeze? I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
it
right.
sure
It's
seems
an
like it to
investment.
me. What's
Yeah.
that?
It's an investment, like your ROI. And
Yeah.
I, you know, it even like, you know, I kind of use the yard sale example, but this is an open house, but still it's like, don't car wash, whatever it is, like
Yeah.
if you're just putting it right to when you're here at this spot, make the turn, it's fine for people who saw it online, who, you know, your different things that you've done, so they have the address. But for the people who are thinking about buying and selling, the neighbor who, you know, whatever, if you have signs leading well up to it and then maybe a few like each direction, then they can prepare for the turn,
Yeah.
you
That's
know,
exactly
right?
right.
That's kind of the concept of the 50 signs.
Well, and I would take it a
Put them
step further.
everywhere.
I mean, yeah, I mean, think about this, right? If this is my intersection, right? So I've got this big intersection here. I'm going to put signs up on every corner. I'm going to have a sign here. I'm going to have a sign here. I'm going to have a sign here, here. I'm even going to put them out here, 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 here. I mean, I'm going to have them everywhere. I want signs all over the place for this thing, right? That
Yep.
is a very big deal. The more signs, the better. And then also what I'll do is I'll put up 2 helium balloons on 25% of my signs. And I know that sounds really silly, but man, it really does attract attention. And guys, again, if you need a
Correct.
commission check in the next 90 days, game over. Open houses will get you there. It's
Right.
that simple. Okay.
Yeah.
Without buying any leads, without spending money on Zillow and all this other stuff. All right. So that being said, lead generation, I mean, there's lots of lead sources. There's over 2,000 lead sources in real estate. Lead generation, as big a deal as it is, lead follow-up is where the money's at. Lead follow-up is by far the place that most agents drop the ball the
Agree.
most. And so we've got a pretty tight system for that. Do you want me, should we go through that?
Yeah, let's see what you got to say.
So there's two keys to lead follow-up. Number one is speed to lead.
That's right.
You have to get to that lead within 30 seconds. That's it. You got 30 seconds. It's a very competitive industry. In fact, I'll tell you that when Robert Slack was number one in the country, he did 6,600 transactions that year. His speed to lead was 16 seconds. And guys, that's the kind of stuff you're competing against nowadays. So speed to lead is very important. That means I need to get them on the phone right away. In fact, did you know that if you wait more than 5 minutes to get the person on the phone, you know, to reach out and call them, that your chances of connecting with that person plummet by literally 900%. It's insane, right?
It's yeah, definitely even more than they used to say, like, 900%, 850%, whatever it is, you know, it's like, yeah,
It's just amazing.
it's
It's like
gotten
dropping
worse
off
is
a
what you're
cliff.
saying. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's terrible. All right, so watch this. The next key, so key number one is speed to lead. Key number two is tenacity of follow-up.
Yeah.
Okay. So tenacity of follow-up is really, really important. And this is where you pick up the people you don't get on the phone the first time. So how many different ways should I follow up with these leads? Well, we've got 7 ways we follow up. We do phone, text, email, video text, video email. Then we use AI. AI is a very important component. We use a product called Black Hat. We really like Black Hat. It's
Mhm.
killer. It's BLACKHAT. You will not find it online. If you want to reach out to me later, I can get you the info on it. But great product. The next thing that we do, and this is the one that everybody freaks out on and everybody thinks is a big joke, but it's actually legit and it matters. And it's called Facebook stalking. Now, what do I mean
Okay.
by Facebook stalking? Kim, how many times do you think somebody needs to hear your name or the name of your company before it will even resonate with them, before they'll even remember it?
You know, I mean, I'm gonna say like 10.
It's actually 7 to 10. That's actually the exact number. It's 7 to 10. And so watch this.
A good guesser, but a little
You're a
bit.
great guesser. You're
Yeah, a little
fantastic.
bit of that retargeting, like, I'm like, and even as a consumer, like, what do I really want? What do I feel?
Hmm.
Where I start like, you're everywhere.
That's
You
exactly
must be
right.
busy. You must be a rock star. You're everywhere.
And that's how we want to make sure they feel, right? And so Facebook stalking, here's what this looks like. Let's say I'm having a hard time getting a hold of a lead, right? So I'll go into their Facebook and I'll send them a direct message. They're not going to see it. So then I go to their wall, right? And what I'll do is I'll go into their profile and I'll start in their feed and I will find a place where they're having conversation with somebody else. I will hit reply to one of their comments to that person. That will tag my contact in my comment, right? It'll tag them in my comment. So then and now I know they're going to at least see it. And I'll just say, for example, Kim, let's say it's you. I'll say, Kim, hey, I've been trying to reach you. My name's Michael. Here's my phone number. And by the way, I sent you a direct message. You might want to check your filtered messages. It's probably in there. So watch this. Kim's not going to call me at that point, right? But what you will do is you'll go into your filtered messages and you'll check for that message. And when you get there and you open my message, guess what Facebook thinks? Thinks we know each other. So now Facebook will not, they're not going to give you a ton, but they'll start serving up a little bit of my content to you, just a little bit. And that gets me all these extra touches.
Algorithms.
Yes, absolutely. And so now between phone calls, text messages, emails, and then all this stuff I'm now doing on Facebook, you're getting to that 7 to 10 touches very quickly. You're going to remember who I am. Now, when you pick up the phone when I call you, you know who I am. And you're, oh, I see you on social media all the time. And oh my gosh, you're everywhere, right? I mean, it's
And people
fantastic.
love that. And people
Oh,
love
yeah.
the rock star, popular. Everybody wants, I mean, it's just true, right? Usually.
Everybody wants what everybody else wants. Nobody wants what nobody wants,
That's
right?
right.
And so it's a very handy tool. So then we got to look at, okay, well, what's my goal with my lead follow-up, right? Like, what am I really trying to accomplish by even calling these people to begin with? And there's only one thing that we're after. What is that? It's
Lead
setting the
conversion.
appointment,
Yeah.
right? I got to get that appointment. And so here's the deal. When we make the, so let's say we get a lead that comes in, right? And I'm guessing everybody watching this probably gets internet leads. And so let's say you have an internet lead come in. What's the first thing you do? You call them. You don't even look it up. Just hit send. Okay. Call them right now. Now, while it's ringing, you can look them up. Okay. But let's say, for example, that they don't answer the phone. What do? Don't leave a message. You're going
Mm.
to hang up. It's called a double dial. And by the way, did you know that on the double dial, 35% of the time they will pick up your call? That's a
When you
lot.
call back to back, or that's what you're double
Immediately.
dialing, or they're like, who is this person? Like, and they call back, I just missed your call. Is
That's
that
right. That does happen frequently. Yeah. But generally speaking, on the second call, they'll actually pick up the phone and 35% of the time. And so now, let's say they don't pick up the phone on the second call. Then what I do is I hang up. I don't even leave a message. I hang up and I send them a text message. And it's very simple. It just says, "Is this Kim?" or whoever whatever name they registered with, right? And then they'll almost always respond back, "Yes, who is this?" or simply, "Who is this?"
who is this?
Right?
Yeah.
Yep. And then I send three more words. And this is where it gets crazy. I simply say, "Calling you now." That's it. And when I send that message, "Calling you now," guess what happens? 82% of the time they'll pick up the phone when I call them again. So now I call them right back. They pick up the phone. I'm in conversation with them. Game over. It's such a game changer. It really is. And so that's huge. Now, one of the things that was, as we talk to real estate agents all over, and this is one of the things that I hear all the time from real estate agents. Michael, before I go waste my time showing them a house, I want to make sure they get
Approved.
approved or pre-qualified. That's
Yeah.
right. Guys, that's sales prevention 101. Stop doing it. Like,
Right.
why are we trying to get them pre-qualified or pre-approved? That's making them jump through
Start building the
hoops.
relationship, then
Yeah.
ask them in the stages, where are you? Um, then you're starting to show value, right? Like, it's like, if they haven't gone through that step, you're already starting to coach them.
Yeah. I mean, I would even take it a step further and say, okay, so Kim, let's say you're a buyer And I've got you on the phone, and I say, what did you want to know the price of that, or do you want to set up time to go take a look at it? And you say, well, what's the price? It's this. Was that in your price range? Yeah, it's in my price range. Great. So would you like to see that Thursday or Friday at 5 be better for you? Oh, Friday at 5 would be great. Fantastic, right? So watch this. Who knows more about lead conversion than real estate agents? What industries do you think know a lot about lead conversion, Kim? What do you think?
I mean, sales normally,
Yeah,
restaurants.
sales. Sure, yeah. How about this? And watch this. I guarantee everybody on this call knows at least one of these. And you might not know you know them, but I guarantee you do.
Share, share.
It's your drug dealer.
Oh my God. I
Wait
don't
a
think
minute,
I know
what?
that.
Now watch this.
Gimme,
I'm a
gimme,
Mormon
gimme.
kid. I don't even do drugs,
That's
right? I've never
crazy.
done drugs. I don't even drink coffee or drink alcohol, any of that stuff. Like seriously, like I'm doing that stuff. So why is the Mormon kid talking about drug dealers? Because here's what drug dealers know about lead conversion that real estate agents don't. First one's free, then you got to pay,
Ah,
right?
get them hooked.
That's exactly right. Right? You got to give them a little tasty taste of the product. So what's your product?
Yeah.
As a real estate agent, what's your product?
Well, I mean, the services and the things you're providing, to helping people buy and sell, better be part of your product.
You're very much on the right
Your
track. Yeah. I mean,
knowledge, your
most people would say,
expertise.
oh, it's the house, but the houses aren't the product.
I mean, they got to buy my
You
knowledge
are
and
the
expertise.
product.
Right, me.
They're
Like,
buying you. They're buying Kim, right?
right. That's
And
right.
so does that mean like when you go out to show them a house for the first time, if they're going to taste the product, do you let them lick your face? Like that'd be weird, right?
Creep.
I kid you not. I had a guy or gal in one of my classes here
Don't
last
tell me
summer.
which one's
She's like,
like,
I don't know. It's been a slow year. I'm like, no, we're not going to let them lick our face. All right.
yeah.
But here's the point. The
No,
point is, how do they taste you, right? How do they taste the product? By getting face to face with them.
that's right.
And so watch this. Kim, do you sell better over the phone or face to face?
Well, I'm going to say that for me, I could do both, but I have to set the appointment. I mean, then they're really hooked,
And when you get face to face with them,
communication
they are
style,
more
body
likely to
language.
sign a contract with you when you're face to face than they are
Right.
over the phone.
Unless
Wouldn't you
it's a
agree?
referral. Yeah. Unless it's a
Right.
referral,
That's right.
just meeting somebody cold on the Zoom or on a call, you have to be like really solid and to do that, which,
That's right.
yep.
Well, and so here's the thing. So we want to get face to face with them as quickly as humanly possible. And so I'll show anybody a house once, right? The first house, first one's free, then you got to pay. Now, what does it mean to pay? Well, you got to do a buyer agency agreement at that point, right? And I don't even talk buyer agency
Single
agreement
property
until
showing for all the NAR rules, you know what I mean?
that's
And then,
right.
because maybe
Well,
you
here's the
don't
thing.
even want to work with them. Maybe they're like not cool.
Yeah, what you do is here's what you go out to us. You don't even talk about the buyer agency agreement until you meet them at the house. You just don't open the door until they sign it,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
that's the key. Now, watch this. If you get there and they say, "Well, I don't want to sign a buyer agency agreement with you," then you say, "Well, we can do one that's just a one-time agreement just for this house,
That's
so
right.
that if you buy this house, I'm getting paid, and if and that's all." If they still say no, hasta la vista, baby. I
Yeah.
am not interested. Good luck. You're going to find somebody else to show it to you because I am not opening that door.
That's
First of
right.
all, I'm legally prohibited from doing it without a buyer agency agreement in place. And second of all, why would I? Why am
That's
I going
right.
to take my time to go show this house to you? And if you're going to buy it from somebody else, how am I going to get paid?
That's
Right?
right.
Would you do your job for free? Me either.
No.
Right?
Right. Disrespect me like immediately, like I'm here,
Yeah,
then we're not on the same page.
that's exactly right.
When you
That's
stand up for your
exactly
own
right.
rights, there's values to that. People are like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it matters. It really makes a big difference. But guys, we need to be prospecting with the mind that we're going to set the appointment, and we need to be going out on these appointments and meeting these people regardless. That we need to give them that first meeting for free. Now, let's talk listings for a minute. Do you want to talk listings for a minute, Kim?
I
We're
mean,
talking.
when you were talking about buyers, I'm like, can I be a seller? But my favorite, my niche, my go-to, especially at my age and whatever, like I'm a double. I'm a buyer and seller at the same time, seller and buyer at the same, it's all over my website. So definitely want to keep drilling that into our people. What you said is people that come to the open house, 70% of them are also going to have something to sell. So don't forget to even ask that question. It's important. So yeah, let's talk about listings.
Well,
Those are my favorite.
so to your point, I'm a huge believer in teams, as you know, and we back in the day, you remember Chris Heller?
Of course.
Yeah, Chris is a good friend of mine. And Chris and I, back in the day, it was him and me and Jay Kinder and Mike
Yeah.
Reese and Amanda Howard. And I'm trying to think of some of the others, Curtis Johnson. We were kind of the only ones building teams back then. And people were really trying, having a hard time embracing the team thing. And we all just had ridiculous success with it. Well, it's interesting because Zillow just did a study, and what they found was, and it's and this they verified what we've been saying for years, literally for 34 years. We've been telling people it's gonna, you want to segment that workflow, you want to build a team, either be on a team or build a team. And what Zillow's study found is that agents that work with both buyers and sellers net 25% less than
Hmm.
agents that specialize in working with either buyers or sellers, even if they're on
Okay.
a team and have to pay a team split. Why? Because now they're able to focus all of their time on that thing that they're best at. And so I always really work hard to try and get people to specialize in, hey, look, I'm either working with buyers or I'm working with sellers. And it's tough to get people to make that mental shift because they want to work with both of them, right? They want to, work with buyers and sellers, and they think they're the best at both. But here's the reality, Kim. If we look at our disc profile, like for example, what's your disc? Are you high I, high D? I'm guessing you're probably IS, maybe ID, but I would go with probably IS.
So as I've aged, it shifted. I
It
used to be
will.
like a 99
Yep.
I. Now it's down a bit, and my D has come down. But then, when I'm under, my S is good. So my D and my S's are pretty even.
Uh-huh.
My C is lower, if you can believe that. But when I'm
Yep.
under pressure or I'm focused, then my C goes up. Like
Uh-huh.
if there's like a twist, my attention to detail, and then dropping this really quickly. Like I like to capture that kind of client, but hopefully where you're going, is that I then it's very rare for me to put somebody in the car.
That's right.
So like I'm focusing on the listing. I like to bring it in, but unless it's a friend, like I don't usually, unless it's a huge like deal or something that they need
Yeah,
something.
you're handing that off to one of your buyer agents. And and
Right.
and that's all they do is work with buyers. And because they only work with buyers, guess what? The buyer's going to get a better experience,
That's
right?
right.
I mean, think about this, right? The people like you and I, we've got a little bit more D in us, right? So I'm 99D, right? Some would
Are you
say,
really 99D?
oh yeah.
Okay, well you could be in control. Like I know when to pass it over, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like to a
Right.
limit, to a
Not me. I
limit,
don't know when to
but
pass it back.
good to know.
So,
No,
but
I get
that
it.
being said, you
That's
think
why
about
you're a
that.
rock star and sold as much as you have.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's
But
just
you,
true. Like, come on.
I appreciate that. But here's the reality. The reality is that generally speaking, not always, but generally speaking, people who are high D or have higher D, like I would say minimum 40, 50 D and higher,
Okay. Yeah. I'm
have
there.
a higher propensity to be more successful as listing agents. And people that are higher I and higher S tend to have a better chance at being very successful working with buyers. Because listing agents generally, I mean, think about this. You ever done a transaction and thought, man, that listing agent was such a jerk, right? I mean, the reality is most listing agents, they're not the friendliest people in the world. They don't care if people like them. They have a
Yeah, they
job
feel
to
like they
do.
got
They're
the
going to get it
power.
done.
Hmm.
Yeah. Whereas buyer agents, they want people, and this isn't a bad thing, but they want people to like them. They want to do a great job for people and have people feel like, man, I really like that person. I'm going to refer them to my friends and et
Yeah.
cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So for me, I want you to think about this. Have you ever heard of that, that people need to know, like, and trust you to do business with you? You heard
I
that
haven't heard
before?
about the video, just obviously the phrase spews out of my mouth.
Yeah. Well, and so here's the thing. It's not actually true. People don't have to like you to do business with you, especially on the listing side. They just have to trust you. And so one of the things I really work hard with agents on is let's stop worrying so much. If I'm going to be a listing agent, let's
Hmm.
stop worrying about getting them to like us and focus on getting them to trust us. Because I'll tell you right now, I've taken lots of best friends listings. You know
Okay.
what I mean?
Yep.
Like I've taken lots of listings from people who have a sister or a friend or a family member of another sort in the business, and they've listed with me. Why? Because they trust me more than their family member or friend, right? And so that trust is the key. Now, on the buyer side, it's very much the opposite, right? On the buy side, they got to like it because they're going to be spending a lot more time
That's
with you.
right. Yep.
Uh, Yeah, and so it really does matter. And that's why, if you like to be liked, if you like to build a relationship with people, buy side is a great move.
Yeah.
That's a great option.
I mean, and if I'm thinking about like on the buy side, also, there is usually a lot more time spent together. They have to know that you know the market, but the experience, you know, of the process of buying, plus your knowledge. But on the listing side, it's like you said, trust and results. Trust,
That's right.
you
That's
know,
exactly right.
and that focus versus the result is on the buy, but then there's a lot more experience, personal relationship than exists in the list. But and so by the way, I'm like 40 or 50 D. So if that's higher D, then I'm in there. I thought you were like,
That's
I have
definitely high
met
enough
90
fee.
90
Yeah.
D, and they're a little bit overpowering.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, and so, you start getting somebody that's like me, where I used to be 99I, 99D, but now my eye has come down so far now because I finally started to realize, there's really only, besides me, there's only really one person on this earth that I really care if they like me or not. Can you guess who that is?
Your wife, your
It's
kids.
my wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like
The
for my
kids, you
kids
might
to
be
like
like,
me.
I'm your
Yeah,
dad.
but I'm their parent, not their friend, right? I mean, and don't get me wrong, we have a really good relationship with both our kids, but at
Yeah,
the
of
end of the
course.
day, push come to shove, I'm gonna choose to be a father before I'm your friend.
Yeah.
And
Just
but with my wife, I want her to like me. So everybody else in the world, like when I'm working with real estate agents, I don't care if the real estate agents out there like me or not. My job's not to get you guys to like me. My job's to help you. My job's to tell you, hey, this is what you got to do if you want to make more money in less time, have a better life. This is how you do it.